Let me know.
Oh, well, thanks, yeah. Look, I know a lot of you guys are new faces for me. I really think, other than me and Tiffany, most of you guys I just met today, if I haven't already met you. So my name's Courtney Fricke. I'm a local investor. I also own and run the Northshore Real Estate Investors Association. And I've been involved in real estate in some foreign capacity for the past 4 years. I quit my job around the same time as Tiffany last year. I was a property manager for an apartment complex corporation in Slidell. And so after working for them for years, I left and I was like, look, I've been doing this on the side, taking vacation days to go to the foreclosure auction, being on call as a manager was rough because I'd be trying to, do stuff after hours with the flip, and it was, anyway, long story short, it's not for everyone to quit your job, but it was the right call. Anyway, this year I've done 10 flips. I am trying to get away from the certain style of flipping. I've got some big goals for 2019 I'd love to tell you about, and whatnot. But ultimately, I started the Real Estate Investors Association. Last night was our monthly meeting. Every month we meet once a month, the second Tuesday of the night. Right now we're meeting in Slidell in the conference room of a hotel. And I understand Slidell's not for everyone. Love the distance. I know that a Tuesday night's not for everyone. So we are working in some other things where we're going to do a small meetup over here and whatnot for 2019. But the goal has been, look, the North Shore is a viable market. I used to have to travel to Baton Rouge, to the Mississippi Gulf Coast, to New Orleans to go and network and learn. And I was like, look, the North Shore is viable enough. You guys know you're doing deals over here. So I was like, look, let's go ahead and do something over here. There's tons of investors. There's tons of people wanting to learn. So let's go ahead. Started it back in May. Last night we had 35 people. We range anywhere from 20 to 50 people at our meetings. And anywhere from people who are looking to do their first deal to people who've done 300 plus deals are consistently at our meetings. So it's not a room of 100% green new people, and it's also not a room not open to those people. So the whole goal is wanting to provide a place for people to be able to learn, where they're not going to have the pressure of being sold something like a course or being sold a mentor program or something. So it's a no pressure atmosphere. We welcome new people, we welcome experienced people, we also welcome people like yourselves who are involved in the real estate industry in some form or another. We constantly have lenders there, agents there, title, we've had some title, we've had some attorneys, we've had some insurance agents, stuff like that. So the whole premise is education and networking. For me, I really enjoy when education is coupled with instruction, because I don't know about you guys, but you can learn, but if you're not putting it into action, I was talking with Tiffany, I come across people all the time who's dropped $30,000, $50,000 on a real estate investing education, and they're struggling to have something to show for it, right? I walked a house in Pearl River. I walked a house recently, and it was just, it just breaks my heart to see people who've invested a lot and they're not able to get something out of it, right? So they're not able to get something, make something for it. So today I want to talk with you about how to work with you as an agent. First of all, I'm not an agent. I'm not licensed. I get asked often, but I'm not. And you guys are. How can you work with people like me and it be profitable for you, that it can be effective for you? Because let's just address the elephant in the room. I know I'm guilty of being a bad investor working with agents before. I know that I didn't have, I just know it. I know that I did a lot of, look, it's 100% the lack of education, of knowing how to work well and how this could be a profitable relationship, right? And so the elephant in the room is agents sometimes don't want to work with investors, maybe more times than not. Investors sometimes don't want to work with investors because they don't understand how it can be a good relationship, right? Would you guys agree? Right? So let's talk about, so that's actually something I want to help with the RIA is I want to help bridge that divide. I want to learn for myself how to have better relationships with agents, and I want to learn how to, if it's a matter of education, I want to help bridge that gap. Education on both sides. Education to the investor side, education to the agent broker side. I am by no means an expert. I do have a background in teaching, I do have a background in event planning, things like that. I'm like, look, I may not be an expert, but if I can help facilitate meaningful discussions, if I can help facilitate getting speakers in or whatnot, or sharing the information I've learned, I'm all for it, right? So to handle some of the pros and cons of working with investors, if we're being frank, so some of the cons, I mean, and you guys may have more information. It could be, sometimes they don't know what they want. Sometimes they're too analytical, so they just want to keep analyzing. No, I don't want, they can't make up their mind to pull the trigger, or they just want to make a lot of lowball offers. They're tire kickers. I mean, heck, I see it on my end. I mean, I come across with other investors. But some of the pros of working with them is if you can get with the right one, they can be repeat buyers. Like I said, I've done 10. I've bought 10 properties this year. So I've been involved in 10 transactions. Unfortunately, none of them have been on the market. They've all been off-market deals. I have bought on the market before. Again, that is, so there's the possibility for repeat buyers. There's a possibility for a fast cash transaction, a lot of times as is. And there's that educated portion. I was kind of thinking, I'm like, with retail buyers, I'm sure you guys have people who've bought homes before that if they've been in the home buying process before, and because they're educated, they kind of know what they want, they can be easier than, say, like a new home buyer, right? They can kind of like, I know I want this, this, and this, and they can kind of pull the trigger easier because they're experienced, right? Same thing with investors. You can get them to where the education is there and it helps the transaction. But the thing is I want to explain what I have learned as two different types or levels of investors, and I kind of want to say why that's important to kind of understand. I myself am really big on pre-qualifying leads that I get because I don't want to waste my time, right? You guys pre-qualify leads to an extent, I'm sure. You guys probably have different statuses. This is a cold, warm, hot lead, some sort of that, right? So I want to kind of leave you guys, if I can leave you with anything, I want to leave you with some sort of pre-qualifier of working with investors, of how to pre-qualify them, so that you can understand what your role might look like, and then from there kind of give some tips and tricks and whatnot that I've seen. And so the two types of levels or types would be sophisticated and then, let's say, green investor. You could also say maybe mom and pop investor. And when I say mom and pop, I mean like the difference between a full-blown business and a franchise or something versus like a little mom and pop restaurant. Like you can, a lot of times when you go in, you can feel the difference. So it's also important to know why an investor is investing. Are they doing it to replace their income? Are they doing it just to supplement it? Because those are two very different objectives. If they're aiming to invest to replace their income, that's food on the table, right? That's major. That's if their home mortgage gets paid. That's if their car note gets paid. That's important. If it's passive, they want to supplement their income, their retirement goals, whatnot. It's still important, but knowing that motivating factor behind why they're investing can really help you. You can see the urgency and also their commitment level. Someone told me this recently, the difference between the pig gets fat but the hog gets slaughtered, right? The commitment level you got when you're eating breakfast, you got eggs and ham. The pig was committed, the chicken was involved, right? So there's a difference between, you got to kind of see the different levels, right? Someone told me that recently, and that's where he's full of those like dad jokes, right? Like, and those like little one-off euphemisms. So knowing your difference and then understanding your role is, I think, really important. So let's go ahead and dissect the sophisticated investor. So this is going to be someone who I would consider a professional real estate investor. And by sophisticated, I'm not telling this person got to have a PhD in anything. I'm not saying they've got to do anything, but you know that you're not going to be their main source of education when it comes to real estate, right? They're going to know what they want. They're going to know what they like in their niche. You may educate them, but for the most part, they are already pre-educated before they come to you, right? And so with them, they're going to be educated. They're going to have experience. They most likely have bought in volume. So this may not be their first deal of the year. This may not be definitely not their first deal in general. The next one is they're going to be analytical. 9.9 out of 10 times, investors are analytical, even if it's not their normal personality type. Because at the end of the day, when you break it down, this is a business. If you treat it like it's meant to be treated like a business. And so they're going to care about the numbers. So they're going to be analytical. So what does your role look like for someone who is already educated, who already has experience, already knows what they want, and who wants to analyze the numbers? What is your role going to look like? From my experience, look, it's going to be there. Obviously, there's something in that equation where there's a need for you. So that's going to be, you've got MLS access. As someone who doesn't have it, you guys have gold, you know. So with that it is knowing that access to a property, whether it be, you know, access to walkthrough, access to information that's only on the MLS, you know, the documents, whatnot, and then just access to once it gets on there is really huge. They said last night you can't steal in slow motion. So if something is a deal, you guys know it, it's gone. It's gone immediately. It doesn't stick around. And so so that's a huge part as far as your role is. Hey, whether that's setting up the automatic emails, whatever it may be, hey, contact them immediately. Hey, I have this deal coming up. Start thinking about it. Start running your numbers. Start figuring things out. Understanding where your role looks like with them on that. They are utilizing you for the information. You are you have like the door key to that information and that access to that house, and so they're going to you as a keeper of that, right? Again, so that's kind of huge as far as understanding what a sophisticated investor looks like. So let's go to the mom and pop, the green investor, and when I say green, new, you know, whatnot, that's going to be someone who the education is going to primarily come from you. So they're going to, you know, whether they were motivated by HGTV, a local course, you know, they attended, whatever, you know, they're like, hey, I want to get started in investing in real estate. You know, my uncle did it, my parents, you know, whatever. For some reason, they're like, hey, I want to start investing in real estate, or hey, I somehow started investing in real estate already. You got the accidental landlords sometimes who buy a house and all of a sudden they're like, I can't sell it. So then they start renting it out because they, you know, need to move for whatever reason. So then they become an accidental landlord. But they still don't have that education. They kind of just wound up there, right? So knowing that when it comes to them, the education's primarily is gonna come from you, because it's not typically coming from an outside source. And so they're coming to you as a professional in the form of education. They're either buying for the first time, or they have only a few transactions under their belt, or their transactions have been very hands-off. That's also, they may have done more transactions, but it's been, hey, I'm putting it in the hands of professionals. I want the track record. I don't want the involvement. Again, you know, the pig, the chicken, right? I'm not committed. I just want to be involved. And so your role is, it's really holding their hand. It's saying, hey, what do you want? You know, and really helping educate them. I would love to say, hey, look, the RIA, one of the things I'd love to do is send your clients, you know, let us be a role for educating. Again, my goal is to make there be is to eliminate the pressure of any type of sales or anything like that, and say, hey, purely this is to educate, and this is to create good, solid business relationships. You know what I mean? So with it is, So knowing kind of the difference, have you guys experienced the difference between what I'm kind of saying, a sophisticated and kind of a green, let me hold your hand type one? And so the next thing, so once you kind of figure out what kind of reading them, you'll learn, you'll see, it's going to be easy to tell. Figuring out what level, what role they are, what type of investor they are, and that's going to help you understand what your role is going to be. I would encourage you to have a business conversation with them. And what I mean by a business conversation is investors, they're doing this to make money, right? They're not doing this to find their forever home. They're not doing this to, at the end of the day, this is a business decision. They're investing in their future. They're trying to replace their income, whatnot. So when it comes down to it, guys, find out what their why is. What are they doing? So there's 5 things, 5 pre-qualifiers I'd like you to have in that business conversation with them. Find out what their why. What are you looking to get out of investing in real estate? Are you doing this to replace your income? Are you doing this to supplement your income? Or are you doing this for, retirement purposes? You want this, do you want to build something so that you can then eventually retire and be financially free? Not all investors are created the same. There's some who are doing it for different reasons. So finding out that why. The next one is finding out if they have proof of funds, pre-approval letter, anything like that. Figuring out what they're working with, how much. This is huge because I'll share in a little bit, but I'm a big proponent. You don't have to have all the money in the world. I certainly do not have all the money in the world, but you can still invest. But it's good to know what they're working with so that they're not, you want to protect your time because this is a business relationship you're entering into, okay? So the proof of funds, pre-approval, to understand the how much. So you got why and how much. The third one is their timeline to buy. So with their timeline to buy, it is, hey, are you looking at something like, are you going to buy in the next 30, 45 days? Or are you thinking this year you're going to buy your first investment property? Or you want to buy another rental property sometime this year? Kind of get an idea for that. Again, urgency. You're pre-qualifying that lead. So you're going to figure out, how soon. The next one is going to be their criteria to buy. What are they looking to buy? This is important. There's a lot of different niches out there when it comes to investing in real estate. Someone who's looking to do flips, that can be a job. That can be a big time job. Someone looking to do rentals and have that passive. If they're looking to do rentals, are they looking to do single family? Are they looking to do multifamily? If they're looking to do multifamily, are they looking to do 4 units and below? They're looking to do 5 units and above. I mean, what are they looking at? And if they're like, well, I don't know, okay, then that's, again, education part, right? You got to kind of, hey, let's, the world may be your oyster, but let's pull it down and find that pearl, right? Let's figure out what's going on there. And so figuring out their criteria, what are they looking to buy? Are they opposed to a flood zone? Are they okay with the flood zone? If the house has stairs, are they okay with that or are they not okay with it? If it is the neighborhood, are they okay with different types of neighborhoods? I see people all day long who go broke chasing cheap deals. Just because it's priced low don't mean it's an investment property and don't mean it's the right property for you. If you don't feel comfortable going to go collect rent on that front door, if you don't feel comfortable sending your wife to go collect rent on that door, you got to think about that. Now, am I saying you can't buy it and won't be a good, return your money? No, I just got to say, figure out what works for you. And then the last thing is to determine the type of the investor so you can determine your role. So again, their why, how much, how soon, what, and then your role in it all. So sitting down, having that conversation with them, that right there can then level the playing field in the sense of how soon are they looking to buy, how much do they have to work with, are they trying to find other sources of financing. All these different things are important because you're then learning, hey, who am I dealing with? And then what is it going to look like? Now, I will say this is when you can learn how to read a situation, you can then become a transaction coordinator. I personally, one of my goals is to learn how to make money. And when I see a property, my goal is I want to know multiple strategies so I know how to make money on that property one way or another. As a rental, as a flip, quick flip, long flip, whatnot. You know, all different types of things, right? So that's why I would encourage you, the best type of people are the people who can solve many problems, not just one problem, right? So I think that there's a handful of needs of investors when it comes to just working with agents. So you obviously have the acquisition. They've got to get a property. A lot of investors stumble when it comes to that because hands down, if you don't buy it right, if you don't know you made money when you bought that property, you're up a creek without a paddle right now already, right? So you've got to make money when you buy it. So that acquisition part is crucial. And then, so it's realizing, look, how can you get them information and for them to analyze it? If they're sophisticated, how can you get them information so they can do their thing? If they're not, I'm not gonna say not sophisticated. I was trying to get away from using that. If they're green, how can you help them understand if this is something that they want to be involved in or not? Okay. So apart from acquisition, there's also property management. That's a whole nother topic. But what I will say about that is, it's also important to know what the investor's personality type and their availability is like, because there's some people who are not fit out to, they're not cut out and they're not a right fit for property management. I did it for nearly 4 years myself. Some people are not a good fit for it because they don't have the backbone when it comes time for Christmas, when she says, I can't pay rent this month because I need to give my kids a good Christmas. Can I put it off for next month? You know, whatever the excuse is, right? Some people just don't have the backbone to say, look, no, like, and try to either work something out or just say no, whatever it looks like, right? Some people are just not a good fit for property management, personality-wise. They also may not be a good fit because they don't have the time. They got a full-time job, they can't handle this. You know, I would say property management, but also project management. They're looking to get into flipping, but when I flip properties, I swear I spend so much time there. I'm like, I bring a pillow. You know, like it becomes a second house, right? For me. And so with it, my dog comes, and I swear every time I have a little Yorkie, and he comes, and like there's always a paw print from him, and I'm like, oh crap, I'm like cleaning him up, and he just curls up in the corner while mom's like, you know, laying flooring or sawing something or whatever, and he's always got dust, always got paint on him. The little Yorkie, the little guy is, my little guy, he's the poor guy, he's not used to the fancy life, like some other Yorkies are. And then lastly, disposition, right? Getting rid of a property. What is their goal? What is their exit strategy? That can apply to different niches. I mean, landlords eventually sell properties at times. Flippers, obviously, they want to sell it. That's how they make money. So what does it look like getting rid of this property? Is it a short-term goal? Is it a long-term goal? Are they looking to maximize profit? Are they looking, what are they looking at as far as with the acquisition, the project or property management, and the disposition? And what does your role look like? Again, this is the part where the positive side of investors is they could be a repeat client, right? Help them according to their goals. I think good business relationships is finding out what that common goal is and how you guys can meet each other's needs. You guys need clients. A lot of times they need help with transactions, right? Figuring out where the road meets and say, hey, let's work there rather than, a lot of times I see there's just some random stuff happening on the side of the road that doesn't work for y'all, right? Or work on both sides. It's just because there's not, hey, what can we do to work together and make this a business relationship, right? So some tips and tricks I'm going to go into. These are some things I've seen, I've experienced, that I want to put out there and say, hey, look, figure them, see if this stuff can work for you. Because at the end of the day, look, I got bills to pay. You guys got bills to pay. At the end of the day, we are looking to say, hey, how can we build solid relationships? But at the end of the day, also, how can we find ways to be creative to make money in this business, right? So the first one is there are licensed flippers out there. people who have gotten their license so they can have MLS access, and sometimes so they can list their property, right? So they can run their own comps, because comps are very important to buying right? That's like the holy grail, is like buying right. So like comps is a very important part to that. So a lot of times investors will get their license literally for MLS access, so they don't have to bug an agent for comps, right? When it comes time to listing the property or buying the property, they will actually say, hey, they may, sometimes they'll buy on their own as, being a licensed agent, but they say, look, I don't want to go through selling it. So what they'll do is, they may be a flipper, like I have a handful of them in mind who are partners, or they're a one-person team who are licensed, but when it comes time to selling the property, they're like, I just want to get started on the next project. I'm going to hand that off to an agent who we're going to work together. Look, I'm going to market this thing like crazy because I don't get paid until it sells, right? It's like for a flip, like you don't get paid until it sells. And time is something that's really important because the market changes, right? So going ahead and finding out, hey, there are those, so I know that there are flippers who are licensed who do choose to use agents because they're constantly working on other projects, they're doing other things. So they're going to figure out, so in that case, if you come across one like that, figure out, are they going to actively market their property? I know, because look, they're motivated to get paid, right? Like they're like, hey, we want food on the table, we want this bills paid, we want all this stuff. So with it is, if they're going to actively market their property, figure out a way. Is there a way that you can do a flat fee listing, a discounted listing? If they're going to do all the marketing and you just put on the MLS, like look, that's where it's getting out of, that's where there could be some creativity on you guys' end. But just thinking, hey, how can the road meet together where both of our goals come together and say, hey, if you're going to do all the marketing or whatever, what can we do to work together? There's also those who do for sale by owner, flippers who do their own for sale by owner. What if it's looking like connecting with them and saying, look, I'll host your open house for free. You can continue to do for sale by owner. I'm not going to ask to list it, but I'll do your for sale. I'll do your open house if I can get free leads from it, right? People who are actively trying to buy homes. So you say, hey, look, I'll create a flyer. I'll do the open house, say Sunday, 12 to 2 or 12 to 4, whatever. But if you don't mind, I'll just try, like, if I can just take a sheet, get leads, and then use that to try to get home buyers who are actively looking to buy. I've seen that done before. And so then the flipper is like, okay, like, like if it's not going to cost me anything, my house gets shown, things like that. I've also seen where, there's times where they also work where there's the 3%. They'll do the for sale by owner, but they'll do the 3% if you guys are a buyer's agent. So those are some ways to get active, hot leads, people who are looking to come to open houses, whatnot. Again, try to say, hey, how can we align our goals? And then you've got investors who are marketing direct to seller. I myself am one of them. I just went to my P.O. box and picked up a few dozen, return to sender from some direct mail. I do 12 to 13 different marketing channels to get in front of sellers. So I have my pre-qualifiers. I'm looking for people who are wanting to sell. I'm looking for people who need to sell and who want to sell, and preferably who want to sell now. If they don't want to sell now, then they become a warm lead that I follow up with because they need to sell and they want to sell, but then there's just a timeline with it. Those are typically my only 2 leads that I want. Someone who needs to sell and wants to sell right now, so that's a hot lead. Someone who needs to sell and wants to sell, but it's going to take a little while, that's a warm lead. Everything else for me is how can I capitalize on it once it's to get out. I started working with a dude who invests in land, and I was like, look, I don't play in dirt, so how can we capitalize on this, right? And so we started working. We've done 2 deals. We have 4 contracts on our desk right now that we're trying to close out before the end of the year, because I sent him all my land leads, and we started working them together. And so I know that there are times that I've sent you guys a few. I want to actually develop this more for myself. And with it is when I get across someone who has a well-maintained property, they want to sell, but they don't need to sell, I tell them, I'm sorry, but I don't know if I can be of help here. I may not be your best option. I'd like to be an option, but let's face this, I'm in this as a business. So with it is, if it's in retail condition and they're looking to get retail, why am I going to try to convince them to sell at a discount so I can make money, right? So I tell them, look, if I typically only fit into the equation if I can help solve a problem of some sort. So if there isn't a problem, I'd love to introduce you to a friend. You know, like if you're wanting to sell, so I tell people, you know, whether we do business together or not, I'd like to help you. I'm not going to say, hey, I'm not going to like hang up, oh, you want to sell retail, click. Like I'm not, you know, I'm in this business to help people. I'm literally dealing with multiple properties right now where, you know, one of them, the dude's, one of the owners, one of the 4 owners is in jail in Metairie. And so we're dealing, that one's been, me is laughing because I literally was up at 11:30 on a Saturday night going to the property because the ex was breaking in. They're like, she's scaling that fence like a Navy SEAL, you know, and kicked the window in the back of the property. And so I'm like, you know, it's been crazy. It's been crazy. So those are the type of things that we deal with. And then, you know, so I'm you know, yeah, anyway. So I'm gonna stop there before I get myself in trouble. But I typically deal with distressed properties or distressed owners. I'm working, bless you, I'm working on a short sale right now. I'm literally, I am trying to beat bankruptcy court with a short sale right now. We're literally trying to put in an offer. And so we're working, literally I will look at anything. I like to think of myself as a non-traditional, really non-conventional investor. For instance, so Northshore Real Estate Investors Association, I started live streaming. So last night, one of my mentors actually shared. I don't know why it cut off in the middle of the live stream. I don't know if it was like a cell service thing. Anyway, boo-hoo. But anyway, he was sharing. He's brought me in on the end of one of his deals in New Orleans, where it's on the corner of Bad and Bad, you know, like not a good area.
Totally sold a house over there before.
And the heirs can't come to an understanding on an agreement on a price that they want. To, you know, as far as they say, hey, look, you got this property that's been vacant for a long time. Do you want to sell it? And they themselves are saying they can't agree, right? You guys all know decision makers are important. Have them all come to the table and walk away agreeing is so difficult, especially the more that there are. Anyway, they couldn't agree. The mortgage had not been paid in, like, I believe over 8 years. But why had the bank not foreclosed? Because it was on the corner of Bad and Bad was the reason why, you know, obviously the bank was showing that they did not really care in pursuing foreclosure and possession of this property because it would take more effort to act on that non-performing note than it would to just, you know, turn a blind eye to it, whatever, right? Again,
that's pretty bad.
That's a pretty bad spot.
Wow.
It's a bad spot. So you
For
go
the
there,
bank not to
so
go
this
after
is the
their money.
situation, what do you do, right? So one of my mentors who's helping expand the way I think is, what he was like saying, he's like, look, the bank is showing a lack of interest. So what he did is he said, look, get on the phone, call, make an offer on the note and see if they'll take it. It's a non-performing note, let's see if they'll take it. They're not wanting to foreclose. You can still foreclose. Well, if they don't want to do it, let's see if we can do it. You know. Anyway, long story short, made an offer on the note. On paper, it was like $48,000. So with interest, $110,000 still left on the balance. Made an offer. Justin Collin made an offer, and he offered them $3,000. They said, okay, let me see if, you know, like let me present that, and I'll get back to you. They called back, and they're like, yeah, we'll take $3,000. $3,000 for this. $48,000 in principal, $110 total balance if you include interest. They took $3,000 to write off. They have a lot of things that they can do on their side, insurance, you know, a lot of things they can do to kind of mitigate the loss, right? I'm like, damn, why don't we offer $1,000? You know, like, what was the least you take?
$5.
You know what I mean? Like, $1, right? Right. You're like, okay. Anyway, long story short, so they've been in the process of foreclosing on that property. It cost about $5,000 to foreclose on it. Because, so then they own the note, they went back and they said, look, we own the note now. What, like, can we make an offer? Again, they kind of spiked, you know, they were really not helping themselves. And most of them agreed, some of them didn't. So they're like, look, just do what you got to do. So then they're going through the foreclosure process right now. Hopefully around February, they're going to be done, but they're looking to share about $10,000 a piece. So my mentor brought me in on this one to help me learn that, hey, when you come across something, don't say, most people would have said, oh, there's nothing you can do here because they won't agree, right? He's trying to learn there's things you can do. You just, got to get creative and learn all the tools that you can have in your tool belt so you know. Long story short, they're going to split about $10,000 in profit. They already have the buyer, they've already got the end buyer lined up, and it's a guy who frequently fixes up houses on the corner of bad and bad, and they rent them out, for affordable housing. He's getting a heck of a deal, all this stuff, right? So long story short, those are the things I work on, is the ones with, some sort of crazy situation, and I'll look at anything. I'd love to invite you guys. Our next meeting is January 8th. We're talking on how to buy houses with little to no money when you buy it subject to the existing mortgage, which some people may think, hey, that's a crazy method. It is a tool in the tool belt. It's really common if someone needs to get up and walk away from a property right now, or if they have no equity. That's also another one. The short sale that we're working on now, we approached it as a subject to deal, but the more we dug into the preliminary title work, we found it was negative equity, so then we had to go the route of short sale. But yeah, so that's a little bit of that. One thing is we are looking at doing an intro to real estate investing class outside of the Slidell area. So I've already got 12 topics lined up, and I'd love to take that course and do it in Slidell, Covington, Mandeville, Hammond. And so we will be announcing that. That's the goal for 2019, is so that if you guys have clients who are new or anything like that, the goal would be is to have that so that people can get educated. So be on the lookout for that. But otherwise, if you guys have any questions, look, I'm an open book. So if you got anyone have any questions or anything like that.
I think you did a great job.
No, of course I have questions. So again, going back to criteria, so once we define who they are and their level of what they're looking for,
Yeah.
I feel like I talk to a lot of people who say that they're investors, but they're newer investors, and you can tell over the phone. And I invite them to your site, but at the same time, when you're trying to help those people and they're like, yeah, I want to flip. If you were helping somebody who was new,
Are you talking
brand new, and they think that they want to get into this, what is the best route to help guide them so you don't screw them? Of course you want to make sure that you're doing the best and not get them in over their heads.
So there's a few thoughts I have. One, I can give you guys some resources. So when people come to me like, hey, I want to learn about investing in real estate, I'm like, look, like I said, I got started in some degree or another 4 years ago. I've really gone full time the past year. I get people who ask me a lot, hey, can we have coffee? Can we have lunch? I'm like, yeah, I'm all for it. That's a part of the reason I started the RIA too, is it kept happening. I was like, why don't we get all the people in one room? It was one of the things that kind of was a thing with it. But yeah. So with it is there's a few things. There are some people who've contacted me like, hey, is this something I can get rich quick overnight? When they usually ask me that, I'm like,
Wrong business.
So it's one of those things where it's like, okay, so my initial reaction is, call me in 6 months, let me know if you're still interested. Bye. That's my initial reaction is, this is a long-term thing. You can make money. This has changed my life. This has built my net worth, and it has changed my life, which is why I'm passionate about sharing it with other people. But it is not an overnight thing. If it is overnight, it is an anomaly, okay? So I usually recommend a handful of things. There is a site called biggerpockets.com. If you have not heard of it, it is the #1 thing in real estate investing. And what it is it is a forum, blogs, all these posts. They also have a podcast. The podcasts are about an hour long, and they are different interviews with different people in different niches. Weird name, Bigger Pockets. It kind of sounds like, money focused. But anyway, long story short, this was where I got what I feel like is college level degree in real estate investing. Because I would get on those forums and I'd say guys, this is the deal I'm working through right now. And you get people from all over chiming in who have done you know, all levels, not just all these new people chiming in, but people from all over. That's the beauty of the internet, right? These podcasts, when I drive, it's funny because that was the first thing he opened up with the last night. One of my mentors, he was like, Courtney, when you drive, what are you listening to? And he referred me to listen in some tapes. I'm like, I don't even have a tape player anymore, you know, like, but he's like, go on eBay and buy these tapes. I was like, okay, how can I convert? And I was like, and so then I was like, look, I took your advice, but I'm on YouTube watching the video that someone put up. Like, I'm just doing the like technologically advanced version of what you suggested. I'm still taking the, you know, the heart behind it. Anyway, long story short is when I drive, I listen to podcasts, I listen to tapes, anything like that, right? So some of the podcasts I listen to, the Bigger Pockets one, they're about an hour or so long, great interviews. I'm on 176. I started on number 1, I'm at 176. They have nearly 300. All right, I'm back in 2016 still. You know, like I'm trying to get caught up, right? That's a really big one that I recommend to people. There are other ones out there, but they get more niche, like they're more about the niches, and so that would be the one that's like the broad scope of real estate. So if you have someone who's interested, if you want to get educated yourself, I would recommend Bigger Pockets, and then for your clients, the RIA, the Real Estate Investor Association, I would recommend for you guys and also your clients, because it is. I've learned my 2 biggest ways of learning. 3 biggest have been books, Bigger Pockets, and local mentors. And then the 4th one is like experience, right? That's taught me a lot. And so literally, I recommend books and Bigger Pockets to people, and then I say go to these local meetups and find someone and say, hey, can I take you to lunch and ask you questions? And so for me, I've learned to like, if there's someone I want to learn from, I'm like, I will buy you a steak, dude. Like, I don't care if it's Gallagher's, I don't care, because if there's someone who's where I want to be, they've already paid for the education, I want it for cheap, right? So $100, $200 steak is a cheap education versus, you know, $20,000 losing money on a flip, right? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So like, hey, if I can add value to them, I feel like I'm a nobody with pennies, and I get asked often for lunch and coffee. I can only imagine the 2 guys we had speaking at our main meeting last night they've both been in this for 30 plus years. You know, a lot of them, they've done in excess of hundreds of deals. One of them over 300, I forget Dan's numbers. So they've been doing a lot. They've done a lot, and so it's like, I can only imagine the type of people that reach out to them and whatnot. And so it's like, my goal is whenever I reach out to someone to like learn from them is how can I add value to them and not just like take their time, right? And then so books, the book Rich Dad Poor Dad. Have you guys ever heard of it? I think of that as a mindset book. It was written in like '97, a long time ago, but for somehow, some way, it applies to today because it's about your mindset. That's Robert Kiyosaki. I like that book as far as changing your mindset. That can kind of be like the Bible of real estate investing, but to be honest, it's not my favorite book by him. I like the book Cash Flow Quadrant by him so much more because that kind of breaks down a lot. You guys, Gary Keller, you guys read like the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. Well, they have the Millionaire Real Estate Investor. That's a good one too. I mean, there's just a ton of books like that. I would say Rich Dad Poor Dad, the Cash Flow Quadrant, are some good mindset books to like educate them. Bigger Pockets, things like that are really great. Those podcasts are really great to educate people. And then so those are some things I would recommend. So when they're really green, here's the thing: you guys are constantly trying to convert leads, right? That's what you know. Open houses are. That's what all the phone calling, prospecting, all those things, right? Because at the end of the day, it's you're trying to take these leads and convert them. So what I would say is protect your time. I think that's where both sides kind of feel burned, is where there's not protected time to where it doesn't convert, or things along those lines. And so with it is pre-qualify them and say, hey, maybe, so say if they're green, educating them, I'm not in this, you may not be in this to be a teacher. Throw them, again, my way. I'm not charging them anything. Just send them my way. Say, hey, it's free to go learn. Or send them on Bigger Pockets. Bigger Pockets is free. Their podcasts are free. Here, go learn. Go to the library if you have to and rent these, like, you know, loan out these books, whatever. When I tell people, here are some free options to learn, if they do not then turn and use that, that tells me a lot. It tells me a lot. Then, but I had a guy I did a deal with this year. He called me, and within a few weeks, we did a small duplex deal together, where I flipped it to him. He, very green, wanting to know, he had money aside, and he was like trying to figure out. So I told him about Bigger Pockets, and I told him about their podcast. The next time I talked to him, within a week, he had already listened to 6 podcasts. And I was like, that's my man, that's action. So you're looking for people who take action. I know a ton of people that want to get involved in real estate investing, but the ones who, but there's a whole different sector, a smaller percentage that actually take action. That's actually a personal mission of mine, is to try to couple education with action. So do that as a pre-qualifier. Give them something like, hey, then when you follow up with them next time, did you ever check out that Bigger Pockets? Oh no, I never got around to it, or no, like, you know, like, even if you go as far as to, like, literally send them a link or something, and be like, hey, do you get a chance to read this blog post, or listen to that podcast, or watch, you know, whatever, then you can kind of see, right? Go ahead.
I have a question. So, as real estate agents, I think there's a huge opportunity that we are missing as investors.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if there's something that, as agents, we should be doing to invest as well. So if you were an agent, and you were in our shoes, what was the first thing you would tell us to do in regards to investing?
Educate yourself, because
You want me to help? Since I do both.
so Mia here invited Mia here. So Mia, if you wanna share in there.
Hi. Okay, so I've been investing about 7 or 8 years now, and number one is know why, like she said. You doing it buy and hold? Are you doing it to flip? Or, I mean, like, what is it short-term goal? Is it long-term goal? That's your key. I mean, I think, for me, that was one of the bigger keys. Now, know along the way, because I'm kind of at the transition right now where mine has changed. You know, I initially set out to do it for, to supplement retirement. You know, that one day my husband and I can quit and not have to pick up the phone, because we are both the type of people, we're on vacation, we're still glued to the phone. And we want to get to a point where we don't have that. So that was why we initially started, and we started out single family homes, duplexes and stuff like that, and right now I'm starting to sell those and going into the more, like she said, the 5+. You know, so right now I'm in the process of putting an offer in on a place in Biloxi that's a 15 unit. You know, so my goal on it has changed. So understand that you may start here but end up over there.
Right.
And attend some of these classes, you know, that she has. I know we've been doing them in Slidell, but you're looking into move, like have a whole different
additional.
set.
The goal is to just, I
Yeah.
understand not everyone can make it to Slidell, and not everyone can come on the second Tuesday of the month at night. I get that. I'm not here to say, like, one
She does have
size
a large
fits all.
turnout, in my opinion.
Um,
For as
I've
he's
seen
only
the live
had, like,
broadcast
6
last night.
months.
I was impressed by the turnout.
Yeah, and so here's my.
And last night, probably close to half were new people, I think.
Well, and that's another thing is it's not the same people every time. I'm constantly having new faces that I'm trying to learn. My concept is Facebook, Google, and YouTube. Huge. What do they cost the user?
Right.
Nothing. What value do they provide? A lot. Well, how are they such big? Like how is their business structure like really sustain itself? It's because they have sponsors. So that's actually, we went away from, I charged a minimal fee for a membership this past year, like super cheap, $40 for an individual for the whole year versus like 200 something is what the other ones are. I was like, well, I want to give this away. I got to build a foundation. Anyway, long story short, I'm like, boom, 2019, I'm like, I'm ready to go free. And we're just bringing in some local sponsors who want to get in front of these people. I had 7 vendor members, and talking with them, you know, an insurance agent got a new client. He did a handful of quotes to be able, you know, get himself out there. You know, just different, you know, got some lenders who, multiple clients, you know, whatnot. As far as my goal is, if I can couple education with action, I'm like, I need professionals, because I don't want to just say, here, this is what, hey, look, I want you to go and do, you know, X, Y, Z. Good luck finding someone You know, like that doesn't help, right? Anyway, so when you're in, I would say get educated yourself. Like when you go and you hear about someone, put yourself in that position, hey, I could be doing that.
Right.
And you do not have to, I don't care what's in your bank right now. If you educate yourself properly, you do not have to have a ton of money to get started in real estate. Is it easy when you have money? Yes. Everything's easy when you have money.
Like hair.
Yeah, it's easy. You said like hair?
Like hair.
Oh, I thought you said hair. Like it's easy when you have hair. Like I'm sorry, I'm looking at it. Okay, sorry.
Easier to breathe.
I'm I don't know. I didn't know if it was a fan.
They're bald heads, caught your eye.
I just didn't know if there was like a joke. It's easier when you have hair. Okay.
The fact that we three right here next to each other is like.
The other really big thing
Well,
with
look.
investing is you're making money when you buy.
Right.
Follicle
So
discrimination.
getting educated and saying, how can I work with what I have?
Right.
Right?
I think that's our biggest thing here is that these agents are always, we work so hard to provide for the clientele as well.
Right.
And it's years before you realize that, oh my goodness, I have spent my entire career setting everyone else up. When do I turn around and at least take a little bit to set myself up? And it's just overlooked as, like you said, a retirement.
Yeah.
What are you doing to prepare yourself? You were in real estate and you have this
You
great
are seeing
opportunity.
people make money on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, you're on the ground. You're,
Yeah.
you know, you're on the end. You are putting people in places. You're
Right.
piecing everything together. You're making the phone calls. You're in front of these people. You know exactly what you need to do.
Right. You're on the front lines.
Yes. So when are you going to do that for yourself as
So-
well as for your clients?
Educate yourself so you can better serve your client, but also so you can help serve yourself.
Yeah.
I left my employer, and I'm happy to say it because I was making him I can't say it expletive, expletive like a lot of money. And when I left, long story short is I was like, they were like seeing if I wanted my job back, and I was like, no way. Like there I had a limit. Now I'm like, look, because now I had the opportunity to care about my future and shape my future through investing in real estate. I don't care if I know people who have rentals who the only thing they do is collect a check and they write a check to property management. They're not involved. They're like, I am the chicken who's involved but not committed. Like I am just not. But then I also have the guy who's like, literally this is the eat, breathe, and sleep real estate. When I go on vacation, I'm like, if I can go look at real estate, maybe I can deduct this off my taxes, like this whole trip, right? Because it's like I am already doing real estate. I'm going to Miami for a conference, and I'm going to Texas for a conference, all within the first 2 months of next year. I'm already lining them up a mastermind and a conference all about real estate because I'm like, look, 2019, look, I'm looking for a 3 to 12 unit multifamily right now. I want to buy on terms, so I want there to be owner financing. I'm personally hoarding my cash. I'm like a little squirrel, I'm hoarding it away because I'm watching the market. When the market moves, I want to have my cash not tied up. And also, I have been self-employed for 1 year, so banks, I don't have that demonstrable income right now. So, don't mean I can't invest in real estate. Some people are like, oh, you can't invest for 2 years. I've done 10 deals. Like there's ways you can do it, right? This year, and so I'm like next year I want to do 30 plus deals. Some of the guys that I've been flipping to, I'm gonna start partnering with. I literally just had to. I put an offer in a mobile home park at 32 unit mobile home park. I'm ready. 2019, I'm ready to go. I want to do that. Money is not an issue because the money comes. And when I talk to people about it, last night in a room of 35 people, just getting out there talking. 2 people say, hey, I have money, what can we do with it? I mean, the money comes. So it's getting educated, showing yourself as an expert with it, and being able to know, look, money is not the main thing. It is knowing how to buy right. It's kind of like, so the other thing I would say this, guys, just to be a little bit, it makes you credible if you are investing as an agent, just to be honest, because it'd be like going to a stockbroker, but they don't have any stocks. right?
Mhm.
It's like, okay, well then, are you practicing, like, do you see, like, real estate as being valuable? Is it, all this stuff? Or it's like the starving baker. All day I'm feeding other people, but I'm, like, I'm going home and I'm starving, but, like, I have the skills, right? So, learning these things. Look, the creative, I personally love this stuff, the creative side of things, those non-conventional, the bond for deeds, the lease options, the lease purchases, the subject to. These are the things that I love, because I have ample amount of hustle and time, but I can be strapped for cash. But again, I'm learning that, like, it's less about the money; it's more about knowing how to how to be a transaction coordinator, right?
Don't be so basic.
Yeah, don't be so vanilla. Spice things up. And when the more, again, back to that one with the note, if you can see a deal that not everyone else sees, that's gold. So anyway, that's that. Look, I would love to give you guys all my card. If you guys ever have something that you're like, I don't know what to do with this one. I don't, I have this person who, look, they're going to the pre-foreclosure sale. So the short sale I'm working right now, last Wednesday they were scheduled to go to the pre-foreclosure auction over in Covington. I don't know why, but for months they've been thinking of calling me, but they only called me 6 days before the sale. And I'm like, 6 business days. I was like, all right, let's get to work. I'm coming over tonight. What time are you getting home tonight? I'm not asking if you're available. What time are you getting home tonight? Like, we're going and we're getting this, so we're able to stop the foreclosure sale, and we were going to buy it subject to, but now we're doing the short sale, so we're already moving forward with that. And this is going to be a flip inside out. So it's like, look, there's someone called me about in Tallow Creek, they've got a deal where the bank is showing no interest in this deal. Like, they were supposed to go to foreclosure auction, but they said, no, you don't really, we're gonna give you some more time. The bank doesn't give people more time. They're showing that they don't have interest in the property. And so I'm like, ding, 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 ding. Like, this is when I'm ready, I'm ready to go. So stuff like that. If it's, needs a lot of work, I right now am literally about to start hiring in 2019 for my team, because I've got so many leads that I'm like, I literally have a $2.2 million deal in on Canal Street in New Orleans, right around by the VA. There's two different $2.2 million deals that we're working on, because it's in the high-rise overlay area that we're trying to work on, partnering with some investors on those. There's tons of things that I'm working on that it's like, I've got a lot of leads. I'm trying to scale. I was telling them, I said, I just got Mojo. I just started, I bought a bigger CRM, all these things. My goal is, I want when leads get sent my way, I want to be able to close, or to be able to send it to the right people. Again, if someone sends something my way, that's not really the best fit for me, I'm going to send it to, say, an agent or whatnot. I don't mind turning people away, because I'm like, there's only 2 types of leads I want in my CRM. Those hot and those warms, and the only difference is the timeline. So anyway, so that's a little bit about that. Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you for coming. So yeah, you need to get your real estate license.